Former US President Franklin Roosevelt was an avid stamp collector. Among his collections was a special stamp that came with the very first letter sent to President Roosevelt from the 8th Route Army's headquarters. A note next to the stamp made by President Roosevelt says it was from E.F. Carlson, dated January 1938. US Marine officer Evans Carlson was originally sent to China to study the Chinese language. As World War II started in Asia, he was asked by President Roosevelt for weekly reports on China. The language student became a military observer. While in China, his reading of Edgar Snow's book Red Star over China led to a particular interest in guerrilla warfare. Through Snow, he was able to reach the headquarters of the 8th Route Army and go to the front line. He was impressed with the tactics and high morale of the 8th Route Army and with the unity between the army and the civil populace. He was most impressed with the vision of its leader, Mao Zedong. In a letter to President Roosevelt, he said, "He is a dreamer, of course, a genius, and he has an uncanny faculty of piercing through to the heart of a problem." Carlson was the first US military officer to visit the 8th Route Army's headquarters. He sent his first letter to President Roosevelt shortly after his arrival, with that special stamp. Carlson wrote in this letter, "This army had developed a style of military tactics quite different from that employed by any other military force in China." Carlson formed a strong friendship with the local soldiers. When his stay came to an end, they sang Guerrilla's Song together, accompanied by Carlson on harmonica. In a few years, Carlson was able to use the guerrilla warfare tactics he had learned in China in the Pacific Ocean theatre of World War II. Later, in an interview, Carlson accused the US government of supplying Japan with raw materials like oil. After he was ordered not to speak in public following this interview, Carlson resigned so he could be free to write and lecture. He later published Twin Stars of China and The Chinese Army, Its Organization and Military Efficiency in quick succession.